What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Dime Dropping NFL on YouTube. Today we're going to be ranking the top 32 quarterbacks. This is going to be a three-part show just in case you guys don't want to watch top 32 to 16. If you just want to watch the top 15 or just the top 5 or whatever, you can do that. But we're going to start out with the top 32 quarterbacks. And this is just going to be every team's QBs. And starting at number 32, we've got Justin Herbert / Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starter week 1, but it's easy to assume that Justin Herbert will be the starter at some point this season. So these two are going to be our 32 ranked quarterback group in this list. I mean, these last 5 to 10 ranked quarterbacks, it's not really their fault. They either haven't played enough, haven't played in a while, or just haven't proven their ability. It doesn't necessarily mean that I think they're gonna be the worst quarterback in the league. It just means they haven't proved enough to not be there. So we're gonna rank Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert at 32 right now. They could go up. There's no going down from this spot, obviously. We'll get on to rank 31 now. 31st ranked starting quarterback in the NFL on my list, I'm dropping NFL YouTube, is going to be Mitch Trubisky. Obviously, he made the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl doesn't mean that much, but in his rookie year, he was in the Pro Bowl. In his in his third year last season, he had a terrible year. It was rough. But before that, he did show some promise. He just hasn't proven enough to be worthy of a higher spot than 31. Now ranked at 30th, we've got Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins showed some very high potential at first in the league, but he hasn't been able to put it together yet in that terrible organization, the football team. So that's what's keeping him at 30 for now. Now at 29, we've got Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua Tagovailoa. Fitzpatrick is going to start at the beginning, but Tua as a backup, we're going to assume is going to start at some point this year. There's no drama there. They support each other. But neither of them have proven enough to be higher than this, but Ryan Fitzpatrick is usually able to win a few regular season games, and Tua, I think, was probably the best college quarterback going into this year. Obviously, his injury issues and Joe Burrow's insane season are the bad part about his NFL outlook, but that's why they're here. Now at 28, we got Derek Carr. Derek Carr has a lot of arm talent and is a talented quarterback, but he doesn't mesh well with John Gruden. They have a lot of fights over there, and the roster dysfunction is just a bad thing going for him right now. The team is going to have to improve around him, and he's going to have to improve as a leader of that team. I don't know if Derek Carr will be the future of the Raiders franchise, but he was on that MVP caliber run a few years back, so he does have that potential. He just obviously hasn't been able to prove enough in the last few years to be higher than this 28th spot. Next up at 27, we've got Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was a surprise pick or a reach. A lot of people thought at 6 overall by the Giants, but it turns out it looks like that's going to be a good pick for them. He has a lot of potential. He just has a fumbling issue he needs to get rid of, but that should be easier to fix than a lot of other issues other quarterbacks could have, and that's what lands him at 27. If he didn't have this issue, he could be a top 20 quarterback. We'll see this year. He has a lot of potential. Next up at 26, we've got Joe Burrow. Now, I think Tua is probably a better quarterback than Joe Burrow, but hear me out. Joe Burrow is in a pretty good situation, not for winning games, but he's going to be able to pile up stats and put some good film out there going into year 2, because the way that offense is set up, they're going to have to score a ton of points because the team isn't looking good all around, but he does have a lot of offensive weapons, so that should help him get used to the league much earlier than a lot of other quarterbacks, as the ability he has for his offensive weapons should be greater than the defensive secondary that's guarding them. So I think Joe Burrow could have a really good rookie season, and that's what puts him at 26. Still not high on the list, but for someone who hasn't even played a game, that's pretty good. Now our 25th best quarterback on Dime Dropping NFL YouTube, we got Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has a lot of talent, but he hasn't been able to turn that talent into wins. He's going to have to try to do it this year. A lot of people could blame it on the coach, but the Jets haven't showed any initiative to fire him or change the coaching staff around him. So we'll have to see if Sam Darnold can turn it around. Time is running out on his rookie deal, so the Jets have to get this stuff together, or else they might be drafting a new quarterback in a few years. Now we've got our 24th ranked quarterback, Drew Lock. Drew Lock looked very impressive. He was a second-round pick, I believe. He wasn't a top-round pick, but he showed out for the Broncos, who had Joe Flacco. When he came in, he went 4-1 for the Broncos, so they're excited to have him on their roster. You see these clips, he just has an electric arm. He can move a little bit too. But next up at 23, we got Gardner Minshew. I think Gardner Minshew is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the league. He has a strong arm. He can run it. He wins games more than most rookie quarterbacks. He went 6-6 on the Jaguars franchise. That's crazy. Or 6-6-1 maybe. But that's a great record, especially for a quarterback on the Jaguars. You can see in the background videos he has the arm strength to make every throw on the field and the composure to throw contested passes from the pocket. But he can also move. I think he had over 500 rushing yards last season. That's why he's 23rd on this list. Next up at 22, we have a former number 1 overall pick, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield can move. He has arm talent, but he hasn't been able to turn that talent into wins, that talent that made him the number 1 overall pick and a Heisman Trophy winner. He hasn't been able to turn that into a winning season or a big winning season. His rookie year was his best year, and it looks like he was going to be a superstar in the NFL for a while after that, but he hasn't been able to improve off of that. I think the Browns will be good this year under Kevin Stefanski, as it is hard to succeed in a bad organization like the Browns are. Now at 21, we've got Phillip Rivers. He had a bad year last year, but before that, he was still putting up great stats. Let's see if he can turn it around with the Colts. The Colts have a great organization around him. I think he should be able to turn it around this year. Next up, as we get into our top 20, we've got Josh Allen. Josh Allen can run the ball a lot. He just needs to work on his accuracy and consistency as a pocket passer. With 9 rushing touchdowns last year, he was a fantasy beast. And the Bills were able to win a bunch of games and make the playoffs and go to overtime against the Houston Texans. I think they could make the next step to being a Super Bowl contending team this season, but we'll have to see once the year starts. Josh Allen is a talented quarterback. He just needs to work on that accuracy and consistency with his accuracy, because at times he could have been the best quarterback in the league with his accuracy, or one of the best quarterbacks in the league when his accuracy was on point with that running and arm strength ability. He had the highest arm strength rating in Madden this year. Next up at 19, we've got Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater, I feel like, is a very underrated quarterback. Maybe it's because of his lack of ability as a deep ball passer and as a runner. He doesn't have that great running ability, as you see with a lot of the new younger quarterbacks who are at the top of this list year in, year out. But Teddy Bridgewater went 5-0 last year, and if you can win games in this league, you got to be a top quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo, with the eye test, he doesn't look like he's a top 10 quarterback, but everywhere he goes, every game he plays, he's going to win that game. He's giving your team the best chance to win. Obviously, that missed throw in the Super Bowl hurt him a lot, but Jimmy Garoppolo, Teddy Bridgewater, these type of quarterbacks that are game managers, which I don't even say that as a disrespectful term. Teddy Bridgewater is a winner, and he's going to win more games than he loses. With the Panthers this year, that might be tougher than with the Saints, but we're going to have to see how he does this season. Next up, we've got Jared Goff on this list. Jared Goff, no matter what you want to say about him, last year was a rough year for him, but he did lead his team to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, so you can't ignore that. He's got great top-end speed. His quickness isn't great, but his top-end speed is up there with a lot of quarterbacks in the league. He can make every throw. He just needed to put it all together just like he did back in 2018. Next up at 17 on this dime-dropping NFL YouTube list, we've got Ben Roethlisberger coming off elbow surgery. I think he could be better later in the year due to this, but at first he may have some inconsistencies. This elbow surgery is mainly used in baseball, and the pitchers are usually better after a few years of having it, but at first they can be a little inconsistent which is why it takes so long to recover from this injury. We'll have to see how Big Ben does with this injury. It isn't a common football injury, so we don't have a lot of precedent set by that. But when healthy, Big Ben, if he's on point, he's going to be a top 10 quarterback. I think with this age and this injury, he's going to be lower, around 17. But Big Ben is an exciting quarterback to watch no matter when you are watching him play. Next up at number 16, our last quarterback on this list, we've got Kyler Murray. He has an electric arm and can move with his legs. He's quick, he's fast, he can do everything on the field. He's a smaller quarterback. I compare him a lot to Russell Wilson with the way he plays. He just needs to get a little bit better, and a lot of people are saying he could become an elite quarterback in the NFL for a long time. Obviously, with DeAndre Hopkins, we're going to get a chance to see him with DeAndre and see how they mesh. But thanks for coming out to this video, guys. The next one is coming out. If you watch this one all the way to the end, the top 15 to the top 5 will be coming out right after this one. If you click on the channel link, it should already be out. See you next video, guys. Thanks for watching the whole thing. Please like the video, join the Discord, and subscribe to the channel.